Climbing at the start of a new set can be quite difficult, especially when there's limited information on what the strongest comps and units are. So in this video, I got 5 quick tips to help you climb at the start of a new set. At the start of a new set, there's always a comp that is stronger than others, but most of the time it hasn't been discovered yet. People always want to hit the top ranks as fast as possible, especially now when there's a race to challenger with a monetary prize. So always keep an eye out on the people at the top of the ladder, as they will only spam the easiest comps to play and climb with. This is not necessarily the top players for set 4.5 or your favorite big TFT streamer. It can be any player who understands the fundamentals of TFT and just happens to stumble upon a broken build. In set 4.5, the strongest comp at launch was Elderwood Acel, and it was discovered by a player named Coralie. This person was not a known streamer or a high-ranking player in previous sets. It was just a player who had only hit Masters as their highest rank before. The best way to check who is at the top of the leaderboards is to go to lolchess.gg and go to the leaderboard section. From there you can select your own region, and then you can see who has the most LP currently. You can go into their most recent games to see what exactly they are playing, and you can also get an overview of what units they use the most. Just by looking at this person who is rank 1 in EU West at the time of creating this video, we can tell that Keeper Cannon is really strong, and sometimes you can spam it every single game. I know this is from set 4.5, but this process will be exactly the same for set 5. It is very important to have an idea what comp you want to play before the game starts. The best strategy at the start of a new set is to just force 1 or 2 comps. Pivoting is very hard when most builds are not optimized yet and the meta is still unsolved. Therefore, we just want to stick to 1 or 2 comps at max. Make sure you know which comp you're defaulting to before the game starts, and by defaulting, I mean that you already know which comp you're playing during the loading screen. There's always a comp you prefer to play every game if you could. If you don't have a favorite, I have a video coming out tomorrow that goes over all the comps that me and the people on my Discord have been having the most success with on the PBE server so far. Ideally, you pick one to default towards, and then you pick 1 or 2 other comps that you can pivot into if you hit the other units for that comp. For example, you can default to Aphelios and then pivot to Draven or Jax if you hit a lot of those, or you can default to Vel'Koz and then pivot to Karma or Mordekaiser instead. When a new set comes out, there is a very limited amount of guides out, so most people have no idea what they're doing besides the ones that actually played the set early on PBE. Because of this, you need to be proactive and actively look at the fights to see which units are doing a lot of damage, which units are not doing anything, and which units need a lot in order to succeed. In other words, since no one knows which units are the strongest, you can become the first to know. Another thing that is really important is to think about why you lost or won. Say if you're running Aphelios carry and you lost, was it because you didn't have good items? Was it because your frontline was too weak? Or maybe it was because you didn't position properly. The last important part is to make sure you actually know how all the units and items work. For example, did you know that Vel'Koz doesn't target the farthest away unit, but the unit that is closest to the middle of the map? And Rel will shield the farthest away units, so if you pair that with an assassin, you can actually stun the enemy backline with correct positioning. Playing more aggressive is a playstyle that is relevant when everybody knows how to play, but is even stronger when no one knows what they're doing. This is simply because lost streakers have to use specific strategies to come back, but when the game is new, they will be a lot slower and a lot worse at pulling off those strategies. Therefore, playing aggressive will be a lot stronger than the passive playstyle. If you want to play aggressive, you want to pre-level to 4 on 1-4, and then you want to be level 5 on 2-1 and level 6 on 3-2. While you're doing that, you also want to slam more items than you usually do. Making suboptimal items to increase your board strength is really good early game, and it actually doesn't fall that hard off late game. You will still have a great advantage over the other people once the late game comes due to you having a large amount of HP compared to everybody else. The last tip of the video is arguably the most important. Don't beat yourself up if you're not succeeding instantly. For some people, it takes longer for them to get comfortable with a new set. For me personally, it differs from set to set. In set 3, it took me about a month before I could even break into Masters, but in set 4.5, I reached Grandmasters within the first week. This has also been the experience of other top players. For example, Mismatched Socks, who some people will argue is the best player in North America, says himself that he struggles with the newer sets. It usually takes him longer than others before the set clicks, so to speak. On the other side of the spectrum, we have players like Coralie, who do really well in the early parts of the sets. In set 4.5, they managed to be the first person to hit Challenger, but now when it's the end of the set, they have D-ranked to Masters. No flame towards them, but it just goes to show that you might be a faster learner or a slower learner for newer sets, and there's nothing wrong with being either one, just try not to beat yourself up if you're struggling. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, comment down below what video you want me to make next, and if you want to get better at TFT, join the Discord. We got over 2,000 other players there who are hungry to climb. And if you want to get coached by me, the information is over on the Discord server as well. So take care and see you in the next video.